And I want to bring in Dr. Jeff Cohen. He's a member of the Tree of Life Synagogue who lives across the street as well. And he heard the shooting when it began. He is also the president of the Allegheny General Hospital, which is the hospital that is currently treating the shooter. Dr. Cohen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, our deepest condolences to you and the community there. I'd like to ask you to take us back to yesterday morning and the moment that you first realized something was going on. How did that unfold?
So, Alex, my daughter and I were upstairs on the third floor, and all of a sudden we heard this noise that neither of us had heard before. I ignored it, and she said, what is it? And then the next thing she said, the streets just parked up with police cars, and then she yelled for me to come downstairs. My wife was very upset in that her mother, otherwise known to us as the Boobster, usually goes to Saturday morning services at Tree of Life. So we finally found her. She decided to sleep in yesterday, thankfully. And then I went outside and all of this unfolded. I was standing outside and I saw the first group of police come in, and they literally were running down my street right over my shoulder. They were huddled behind a brick column, and the first two officers had confronted him at the front door of Tree of Life. These folks were trying to figure out how to get in the building, and we heard a series of gunshot wounds. I can't tell you how many, 20 to 30. And at that point, things happened very quickly. The SWAT team assembled, and make no doubts about it, these folks ran to trouble. They went, put themselves in harm's way to try and save Pittsburghers' lives. The people in that synagogue are known to me. They're known to my family. They're decent people. They're kind people. They're not a threat to anybody. And we had to sit outside, and later we realized they were executed for no other reason. The only thing I could do is I sat with the EMS guys that if I could be of help, put me in, let me see if I can help somebody. And I had access to the tactical radios and what was going on. And the SWAT team, the bomb squads, they were very professional. They went and tried to save as many people as they could, and it was unfortunately too late. At the same time, I heard that the shooter was going to be sent to my hospital. So I was sending texts to the director of the emergency room, Paul Porter, as to what to expect and be ready. The entire city went on a mass casualty alert. The folks at Presby, at Mercy, and at Allegheny and West Penn were all ready for mass casualties, and unfortunately there weren't any. So we got the shooter. What's ironic is that one of the nurses, in fact the nurse that came in and responded to the mass casualty event, his father's a rabbi in the South Hills. He took care of this guy. He did everything he could. He was extremely professional, and I can't tell you how proud I am of the people at AGH and the people at Mercy and the people at Presby. They took care of people. They ran to the trouble and they solved people's problems. So it's a little bit about what went on yesterday. It was awful.
Yeah, Doctor, we keep hearing about the heroism of everybody who rushed to that scene. The special agent in charge of the FBI there saying it's the worst crime scene that he's ever seen. Doctor, I imagine that as president of this hospital where the suspect is being treated, you have conflicting emotions about that. So if you could speak to that, but also, do you have any update on the shooter's condition?
So I had been invited to a Steeler game a couple weeks ago, and my inclination was I had to get back to a normal life, so I went to this. I talked to the nurse that took care of him before I went down to the game, and he and I broke down in tears as to what all this meant. I went to the game and came back, and I went to see the shooter and the cops that were guarding him. You look at him, and I wanted to try and understand why did he do this. And I have no answers. I asked him, how are you feeling? And he was sort of groggy. He said, I'm feeling okay. And I introduced myself as Dr. Cohen, the president of Allegheny General, and I left. The FBI agent in charge looked at me and says, I don't know how you did that, because I'm not sure I could have. It's time for leaders to lead. Is that all the chaos that's going on, the gentleman didn't appear to be a member of the Mensa Society. He listens to the noise. He hears the noise. The noise was telling him his people were being slaughtered. He thought it was time to rise up and do something. He's completely confused. And the words mean things, and the words are leading to people doing things like this, and I find it appalling.
Well, it's extraordinary to hear that capacity to forgive, considering what's just happened to your community and to your friends. You mentioned that he was groggy. Can you speak to what his wounds are, how serious they are, what the treatment is?
The specifics of this I'm not going to go into. He was treated by our team. They took very good care of him. The conflicting emotions of the people who are there. We have one very simple mission at Allegheny. We take care of sick people. We don't ask questions who they are. We don't ask questions about their insurance status or whether they can pay. To us, they're patients. And it makes it very simple for our staff to do the right job. So I will tell you that I'm very proud of them. They did a great job. They answered the bell. And isn't it ironic that somebody who's yelling in the ambulance and in the hospital, "I want to kill all the Jews," is taken care of by a Jewish nurse, and there's a Jewish hospital president that comes in to check on him afterwards.
Well, that certainly speaks to who you are and who the staff at the hospital are, and from what we've been hearing, what that community really represents. So, Dr. Cohen, our thoughts are with you all tonight at the hospital and in Squirrel Hill, and we wish you all the best in what I imagine will be some very difficult hours and days ahead. Thank you for joining us.